Hello, Redefiners. Welcome back to Leadership Redefined. We hope you've had a lovely couple of weeks since we posted our last episode. In today's episode, we're joined by some amazing guests from Ace Corporate Fitness, Patrick McManus and Karis Charnock.
Hello,
Hello.
Patrick and Karis. It's
Hello.
so good to have two young founders who are not only building a fitness company, but we're rethinking what fitness actually means. Full disclosure, just letting you all know that because the two of you, I have actually started running. You dragged me back to it, so thanking you.
Really?
And the
Wow.
hikes. Can we just acknowledge hikes as well? So, for our listeners, could you give a little introduction about yourselves, who you are, what you do? The two of us know you really well, but over to you.
Ladies first, Karis.
Okay, so I'm Karis. I am a marketing student at Loughborough University, and I started working at Ace over my placement year, doing event management and marketing stuff on the side, and then slowly, because of that, have been forced into fitness things that I didn't do before, including my 5K run with Gundam.
That was our first conversation, horse riding.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the best first conversation to have in the world, was it? Put me in a good light.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's how we're not a traditional. That's us redefining fit leadership and fitness by getting Karis, who has just said being forced into fitness things that I didn't want to do before. This is a heavily passion-based industry, and here's Karis. Yeah, being
Super
forced
I
passionate.
do
into
it happily now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, that's really good to know. At least it's happy now. And what about you, Patrick? Go
So
ahead.
I'm Patrick, and I've been last 10 years been in the fitness industry. Started off as a personal trainer and lifeguard, and then worked my way up to managing a couple of health clubs now and a gym. So, and all of kind of different sorts. So from luxury health clubs to bodybuilding gyms, and they've all got different internal workings. And then we got on to the lucrative offer, which was starting Ace Corporate Fitness.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
nice. Oh,
and I
that's really
was
cool.
blessed with
I
having Karis in my life, and it's never been a burden.
Aw.
I'm sure she feels exactly the same, Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. And as we said, we know you really well, so thank you. Really excited to have you on today. So we'll get started with, I suppose, talking about that lucrative offer of Ace Corporate Fitness and what it actually is, how it was founded, and actually what it means to be in leadership or to be a leader in Ace Corporate Fitness itself, because I imagine it's slightly different to, like you say, you've worked in gyms and so on. So yeah, over to you. Tell us about Ace. How was it founded and what it means to be a leader?
Yeah, so the three, so it's three of us who started Ace.
Mm.
One of them being our dear friend and mother to some in this group, Helen, and I we Helen became as a prospective member to the health club I was at the time, and
Mm.
I introduced her to the health club, and I introduced her to the third party in Ace, and went through a successful experience of personal training. Helen did really well in achieving her goals,
Mm.
and it was very much she came up with the concept, which is actually in the workplace, particularly before COVID, and COVID had a big influence on the industry, but before COVID it was seen as very much a reactive measure
Mm.
to or a reactive tool to businesses, and actually being more aware of your health and having fitness as an accessible tool in a proactive measure. So
Mm.
treating it proactively before you get onto into health conditions requiring hospital, um, yeah, and mentally how the impact it can have not having exercise and fitness in your life. Or
Yeah.
it you we kind of came in to be a proactive tool, so we looked at it from a wider population sort of thing, which is 16% of the population have access to gyms or use a gym, which, you know, you go look through social media and that's quite surprisingly low, but we've only got a market penetration of about 16%, which means 84% of the population don't do that. So we kind of looked and went, how can we help people who aren't active? How can we help support them? How can we make the gym a less intimidating place? How can we make sports clubs less intimidating to go to? And we used business as, you know, a supportive measure to help these people out. And because we looked at it from a point of view that we can help out the business through happier staff, more productive teams, and we can help out the individual through kind of traditional benefits of exercise, and that became the base to ACE.
That's really cool.
And yeah, it, you know, we've worked together a long time with Genius Within and kind of developed our product or our services through Genius, and then turned it into a wider marketable product based off of our concept of a fit hub, our events that we run, our support we give through personal training, and, you know, developing that into an app, and how we can make it more accessible to employees and sole traders around East Sussex and Brighton is now what we do.
Amazing.
So that's ACE Corporate Fitness.
See, I get that where you say about the whole making it feel more accessible. Like, there is actually like a proper intimidation about going to the gym, isn't there? And so many people are so fearful of getting started about going to the gym. So I'm absolutely love that. That feels so so powerful to be able to do something like that, and to be able to like come from it from a different angle and actually just be accessible. And I get that when myself and Gunjan have done the fit hubs with you, that they genuinely feel like such a friendly space. So that makes so much sense from what we experience with you.
Yeah, a lot of it in the industry is how independent it really is. And when I was managing gyms, I was trying to be positive and happy, because just talking to people on the front desk as you go in make it that little bit less independent. And it's really tough because you kind of hit those challenges by yourself and you don't know where to turn to. And personal training is, and what I would call it essential, but at the same time, it's not. You could say it's not accessible due to the costings behind personal training. So how can we make that knowledge, and how can we create a group of people that they can have those experiences shared, to make those challenges easier to overcome, was kind of a base principle of ACE Corporate Fitness prior to us going, you know what, we're going to use business as the kind of carrier of that message.
And I mean, you know, so many people in the population work, right? So what better way to actually penetrate that market? So, amazing. Thank you.
I mean, as you were sharing, Patrick, I was just thinking about my early on days of entering a gym. And you know that 36% of adults within the UK do not meet the recommended activity levels. But we also know through research that 82% of adults say that they enjoy regular activities, or, you know, their well-being, mental health, everything improves through fitness. So we're talking about mindset here. But I want to understand your interpretation of this. So thinking about leadership, what do you consider when you are the brand and that's amplified?
I've always kind of been from, I think one of the things with like I was just saying, was the product has to be a happy product. It has to be a happy place to go to. You can kind of go to gyms and it's kind of like, you know, like a very kind of I almost call it like a forensic environment, as it's very much like you go there, you do your daily exercise, you go home, your prescribed exercise, and you go home. And my bigger thing as a leader was, if my product has to be positive and happy, then the teams that I manage have to be positive and happy. And so for me as a leader, I kind of, especially being a young leader, I try to manage like the hierarchy to be more where kind of maybe in the wider businesses I was a part of, it would be very straight line, team here, middle manager here, um, big boss there. I always try to think that I would be slightly above, to be approachable, to be happy, to occasionally have a joke and be funny, to kind of, but with that in mind, and it was a really hard message to translate, particularly to my superiors, is that yes, you'll see me have a laugh with my team. Yes, you'll see me probably be, well, very laissez-faire in my management style, but the idea is that we show our personality, we show our happiness, even when we might not be feeling it, that actually coming into the gym, how do we make it less daunting? How do we make it a positive environment for people to achieve their goals? And the essential part is being being positive, really, to get people there. And that, from a leadership point of view, it's very tough, considering at the end of the day you've got to make sales, and you know it's a very sale, like for membership sales, it was a very sales driven industry, and if you're a slightly below sales target, you need to get people to hurry up, and I'll be stressed, but I can't show my stress. I have to emotionally detach myself from that situation, but at still the same time show that urgency. And then from like a, you know, when you looked at yourself with the inner eye, you'd go, you would really be in times feeling the pressure, but you couldn't exhibit that, because if you had stressed staff, the product was then stressed. And so you had to really set out your boundaries and definition. And that's kind of what I developed better later in my I say career like it's over, but later on in when I moved on to other jobs, it was very much still trying to be kind of, and maintaining that approachable demeanor, that happy-go-lucky lad, whilst also being someone who goes, okay, when I say we need to focus on sales, we don't lose who we are, but we still try our best to reach our targets and our goals. And I think kind of at this point of view in leadership, that's quite a modern, newer kind of thing. And you know, we're still like, I think it could be quite alien to the bigger, wider business that I was in. You'd kind of find there's some people might be a bit more firmer, but that's cool. You can be, but that just wasn't me. And so I'd find myself fitting in better in places where they kind of understand that my point of view on it.
And I suppose the fitness is, oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I was struggling.
No, I was going to say the fitness industry is, the way I perceive it, I mean, I'm not necessarily in it, but I perceive it to be quite a people-oriented place, and quite, like, you know, you need to be looking after the people. But Kara, did you say that you are marketing side of things?
Yes.
So I suppose thinking about the brand from that way as well, like you being the brand, how do you experience that from the marketing side of things?
I find it's a very interesting one, figuring out the correct way to push it, because I studied leadership earlier on in the year, and they had very distinct differences. That we were always described it as leadership is asking people to follow what you do, whereas managing is telling them to do something. So it's trying to portray that message onwards. So I use a lot of stuff from Helen, who's also my mum, because she's got her story and her fitness journey that she then obviously took within Genius Within, and in a strange way used her leadership within that to have people follow on. So I try and use social media and our platform to not talk about the outcome of you should do fitness because it leads to this, and showing we've got examples of how this lifestyle has benefited us and how what we think could be portrayed outwards in a positive message by following along with what we have so much passion and enjoyment and belief in the benefits of it, instead of just going, because there's a lot necessarily stigma in social media, not social media, about fitness, but it's so in general like physically orientated, which is very not what we do. So saying we're not going to show you a results thing and go, you should do fitness because you'll go from this and this and be happier, which isn't the route we want to go. We take a more leadership route in explaining the journey, and I feel like marketing is a really good way of doing that, because it also builds a lot of community, us using that sense with it, because they understand where we're going. They know Helen's journey there. A lot of people are invested in Helen's journey and how getting there, and has inspired people to want to take a more similar route with it.
I mean, Helen's like, she's super now, isn't she? She does like Hyroxes every other weekend. It's incredible, the things that she does. It's honestly like you watch her and you're in awe of the things that she does, and she's just so strong with it. She's going to listen back to this and think that we're totally blowing a trumpet now.
I think she'll be laughing more at the fact that Hyrox is a taboo word in the Ace Group of Fitness meetings, because otherwise it's a comfortable 3-hour job of listening to Helen talk about her Hyrox experiences and wanting advice on how to do better next time. So the fact that we mentioned Helen's and followed with Hyrox immediately, that's why you saw me roll my eyes. I was like, oh, brilliant. Here we go.
We've gone there already.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. I mean, I do associate Helen and Hyrox, and I love the alliteration with it, so it works for me. Oh God, that's brilliant. That is so funny. But we digress. Bringing it back, I suppose. Thinking about the internal narrative side of it, then. So we've spoken about you being a brand, and actually how do you navigate being the brand of the business. But what about the internal narratives that show up for you? So what are they more generally, and also actually how do you navigate these and use them to your advantage as leaders?
I have a lot of, because I focus mostly on the event management stuff, so a lot of any of my leadership internal narratives relate to the outcome of what our clients and consumers see from what we've got. So I do a lot of, when it comes up to events, it's, will people get the right message of this, or will this influence people to do things, or like the thoughts I have, or will things get done in time, or those leadership things, because I'm a very take things on my chest in that kind of sense. But I always do, it's the thing I always say within university and within work, it's kind of a, well, things have never gone badly. Things very frequently don't go as you intend to do, but they never go badly, and it's that links very well in the sense to fitness, because there's a lot of, we try to avoid and make sure it's a constant flow, but fitness is always very up and down for everybody, and people will have setbacks and not, but it's a very, we try and create an environment that necessarily doesn't matter. And I think the fit hubs are a really good way to go about that, because you could have a not particularly good week in terms of fitness, but everyone together in the environment, then it can change your internal narrative. Go, oh, it might not have been great for me, but I'm still enjoying being here and doing this and seeing everyone doing their own journey up, and then it keeps you going. So I feel like it's a turning and up and down that's very common in any situation you're in, either as a client or as me who was organizing it, and then turning it into a positive of, well, it's still going forward no matter what. Nothing's ever at a halt, which I find a very positive way when I'm doing events, talk about it, going, oh, this might be a setback and not be what I'd planned to do today. Like, for example, at our badminton tournament we had a couple of weeks ago, we had to change the date on the day because there was a water problem at the venue, which was like, oh, that is such a setback, but it wasn't actually a problem. We changed the date and then people could work, and it's like, oh, well, that's still good, that's still going further forward, and it changes the narrative of that wasn't ideal, that wasn't how I wanted, and going, well, it doesn't matter, and then you can keep going forward beyond that.
And that's such a good narrative to encourage people in, coming into fitness, whether it be a client or whether it be someone thinking about leadership in fitness, because as we see a lot on social media that and specifically, I have lots of runners on my Instagram, and I see them doing all these really amazing paces, and then like last week when my pace was really, not very good for me, probably because I was tired. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, but I'm not doing as well as them. Why is my pace so bad? So that positive thinking about, actually, do you know what? I might not be at my best today, but I'm still doing it. I'm still moving forward. And so, yeah, it's a really lovely narrative to have.
I think
Anything from you, Patrick?
Yeah, it was kind of going from where whether it's an internal narrative or not, I'm not sure, but where we work quite well together as a team at ACE is we're quite good at highlighting controllables and uncontrollable circumstances through like our plannings of tournament is that, and well, where in most industries where it's very people dependent, is that we kind of outline that we can do the best with the things we can control, and there's the things that we can't control. And I think there's been times where, Karis and I have been very honest in conversation, in that there's days where I'm very much on the side of, I'm very good at eliminating uncontrollables, but Karis is very good at highlighting them as something to keep in mind. But at the same time, we're kind of individual independent leadership, or as a team, we kind of work together that we stay to target on tournaments where we know what we can control, what we can't control, and not emotionally respond to it too much. And I think Karis and I do quite a good job of keeping we complement each other quite well in that regard, and that, if anything uncontrollable comes up, particularly when we did our first football tournament, I'm a bit laid back and go, it'll be all right. And
I am not.
Karis would be like, if this is not going to be all right, Patrick. And there'd be a few things which are comfortably in our control where I'd be going, we really need to get this done. And then it'd be quite good because Karis would be like, yeah, I knew that. I've done that already. And that's where just the accountability side of things we work really well on. There you go. I do occasionally compliment you, Karis.
Yeah,
Occasionally.
might be the first time ever.
Yeah,
It's the first time I've ever heard
it. when it's both public and earned. Outside,
we've got this on recording, by the way, Patrick. You can never say it that you don't do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll play this back to you.
That's all good. I'm also good at not listening to you, so.
Interesting to see how the two of you have different leadership styles and you sort of play it off. I mean, yes, we have a certain bit that we have on recording here, but there are certain things that we hear. It absolutely makes us laugh. So I'm just thinking about, what part of leadership and people do you celebrate in this industry? So what is it that you really do? I mean, Patrick, you've mentioned about being regulated, being happy, even when you're not. What goes on?
What goes on? It's kind of a surprise. I mean, we haven't hit the point with ACE as such, as that it's such a hectic pace to it, but it is such a fast pace environment when you're kind of on the ground in the gyms. And I think the bits we celebrate are the obvious bits we celebrate, which is everything we see, which is us achieving our goals. But we could have possibly more insight into what kind of goes on behind the scenes, and that actually sometimes where I'd be kind of emotionless in that industry could probably have been an advantage. In that, like there's so much going on. One issue could have changed even on the tournament days. One issue could have arisen and you've fixed that, but before you can celebrate how you fixed that, and something else has come up. And so kind of within the team, it's very much on the side of actually we should celebrate where we've been a good team to each other when we haven't had a good day. And I think sometimes we often look too far for the perfect day. And I used to really celebrate those days when I'd go home and nothing had happened. And where it's just like everything just went smoothly, but that we should really kind of start to celebrate the tougher days more, particularly in our fitness journeys, in that, like, as you say, comparison being the thief of joy, is that with running is my passion. I've been doing it since I was 12, but I've always been kind of going, yeah, but he's faster. And that was even when I've won races, I'd then look at other races. and it kind of going, actually there's so much more to each of our stories that we should celebrate more the kind of days where I've gone, that was a terrible run, but I got out and did the run.
That's so true. Yeah.
And like you were saying, you're saying about your pacing, and a lot of it's got to manage where you start the journey compared to where you are now. In that, I mean, when we started with the Fit Hub, Lauren, you were saying I find it really hard to both breathe and run.
Yeah.
But how do
I just find it hard
breathe
to run.
Yeah, how do I breathe and run? And there's a lot of it. We did a decent amount of work together, and the easy answer is, why don't you just breathe? But it was like, a lot of it was like trying to build on kind of the concept of conversational pace. And so actually we should turn around and go, actually, you saying I went for a run, I completed a run, but I didn't do it at the pace I wanted to, would be like, well, that's so much better and further than when you were saying I couldn't complete a run because I couldn't breathe and run.
That's true. Yeah, it's celebrating your accomplishments with it, right? I mean, yeah, we do. Do you know what I like that about ACE is that you do actually get us to stop and think about the things that we actually have achieved, whether it be literally just getting out for the run, whether it be the 10K that we completed in November. It's
Or climbing the Snowdon.
Or climbing Snowdon. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a really nice thing that we see. And I suppose I am curious about that because that takes really good leadership to be able to do that kind of thing. And so for you, when has it worked really well? But also, when have you found that leadership has been really hard and hasn't worked well at ACE? Because, it happens. So what do you reflect on to kind of make it better?
I weirdly think you can answer both of them in the same sense. I think a lot of the stuff we do, if you look at the end outcome of it, it is really successful and really happy about it. Like both of our tournaments we've done have had like 50 plus people and have been really successful and everyone's really enjoyed themselves. The genius within Fit Hub is at a point now where it's such a positive community that everyone does build on each other. So you look at those and go, amazing, we've given what we want to other people and they are understanding it. But it's the same way I think that links a lot with motivation. Then the struggle for a lot of people is getting to that point. Like you see so many people, especially on social media, showing their outcome that's like years down the line of them getting to this point. Like you see people who are running marathons or doing high boxes or doing all of those things, but it's taken them a whole journey to get there. And we have the same thing it's taken us I've been here now a year and a half, and at the beginning it was hard to get people motivated into doing it because everyone has their own reasons and to get into fitness, that if what you portray to them isn't the reason that clicks with them, they're not going to do it because it's not a thing that you just go, oh, I'm going to do this now, and you'll do it every day for the rest of your life. So then you look at our event metrics, our football tournament, the week before we didn't have enough people because people kept dropping out, and then it was a bit at the time go, oh, we haven't convinced enough people that they want to do this. But you come to the day and it all works out great and everyone's there and everyone has an incredible time and is asking to do it again. So I think the end outcomes always seem really positive, but it is figuring out what ways you're going to get people to be motivated to continue. And I think that links very back to creating the community and the environment that people sense the benefit from.
I think where with our Fit Hubs is kind of, as you've seen through the genius within Fit Hub, is that we have tried quite a few different things to try and unlock how we can be more accessible, how we can motivate people to start their fitness journeys. And I think where we're quite innovative, it's also being fairly open to failure. And so everything, we've had a really good strike rate, like Kara said, and that when it comes to our tournaments and our events, there's a habit now that everyone books into things quite late, and you really don't know how it's going to go on a day until 2 days before. But you've got to have that discipline to hold your nerve and go, yeah, we'll be all right. which is about as positive as you get. You aim for the right and hope you achieve something. But it's like kind of holding your nerve, and also, being realistic to the point that it might fail, and then you just keep going and trying again, and have that both discipline and endurance to keep going, particularly in the fit hubs where it is so innovative. No one, has tried to be too proactive in health and well-being. So yeah.
That is so true. But you learn from it. Like every mistake is a lesson learned, right? And I suppose it's a really good mentality to take on. So,
which is interesting, because then I'm thinking, how do you stay authentic and honest as leaders, especially when you're in this community or you're building this community within fitness?
I think we're quite beneficial in the three of us are so different in what we do, and he's laughing at me.
I thought you. I don't know. I was like, we're so different in everything.
Everything we do. So in our approaches and mentality towards it, that I think we bring a lot of that to Ace, and we're all at very different levels of it. Like we all did a run club, and obviously Patrick runs, so hosted it. My mum is quite a runner, and I've never particularly been a runner, but we all get involved in it and bring our different views. And I think keeping that, people then learn about us a lot more before they learn about the company. So get invested in us as people and go, oh, not to toot our own horn, but we're quite fun sometimes. And then follow it along that way. That I think if we try and you share the process in getting to places and keeping really close contact and learning about the people within your community, and then them learning about you, helps keep that authentic relationship as you continue going on.
Which is very true, because I remember the first walk where Patrick, you were there and we were lost, and all we did was in that frustration laugh.
Patrick, for though you can't see Patrick do it, but he's just rolled back and he's just got really irritated by you.
Right, to the listeners at home, I'd just like to clarify that I was assisting that day and had nothing to do with any sort of orientation round said walk or map reading. And actually, in some light, you could say that I managed to assist quite well with us not being lost anymore. But then at the same time, discovering this 2-hour walk that someone had planned was actually a solid 20 minutes. So this was turning into laps of the same route. But we learned that lesson so well, didn't we, Karis?
We did. We bonded, actually. We all became much closer that day.
We bonded through that walk that was meant to be 20 minutes, but ended up being 2 hours. We laughed.
Was I there? I don't think I was there for that one. Was I?
Ooh, testing my memory there.
Actually, I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh,
it was me, Patrick, and Karis.
But that was where, actually having an art, using humour. Actually, it's like, what was going to be, what was being negative in that situation going to do? And you know what? Let's start by me not having the best attitudes to being lost and having a laugh about it. You can kind of go, humour as a leader, it can be a decent tool to get you out of those situations, really.
Yeah.
But I think that's where you were authentic to us.
Yeah.
As in the people that were around you in that walk, for instance. You still somehow grounded all of us, even though we were lost and maybe people were getting frustrated. We still sort of prodded along in a way that we still remember it in the light of, this was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for you, though.
Because it's interesting because, like when you said that, I go, my God, she's being too authentic. That's the sort of authenticity we don't need. But it's actually something that I'd probably say being authentic is a strength in the industry, because I think we kind of, I don't try to, but the view on fitness is that you have to be the pinnacle of health with nutrition, the pinnacle of fitness and your attitude to the gym, when in reality it's like at the same time one of my biggest support network as a leader through stressful times has been my friends and my family. And one of the tools I know I need to, it's not a tool going to see my friends, but I'll go to the pub with my friends and have a couple of pints, which isn't really the pinnacle of what fitness is, but that's what everyone else kind of does at the start of their journey, is actually they have those bad habits, and being shown that, you know, I actually incorporate it into my fitness journey, because at the same time I go to the pub and I'm laughing and I'm feeling good and better about myself as I'm leaving, and then like the next day I go to the gym in such a better mood that I'm more productive there. And so it actually goes, if we show our authentic selves, which isn't continuously being a pinnacle of health, then actually that as a leader is a good thing, to show that it is achievable to be fit, healthy, and also have, you know,
Fun.
an occasional bad habit. I didn't want to say fun, but yeah, an occasional bad habit here and there. And if we kind of were more authentic on a national scale as fitness leaders, that would probably help the industry.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fitness is very much about comparing, like we've already spoken about. But then when we start making it more relatable, like Karis, you've mentioned, and creating a space where you become more authentic, and creating a space where it's okay to have a bad day, and celebrating those small things, it just changes so much of the attitude towards fitness. I mean, someone that's a perfectionist myself, going to the gym, I'm like, always a PB, always a PB. If it's not, it just feels horrible, like you haven't done the best. I'm just wondering, how do we work from there?
Well, we put you both on the spot, either of you.
For me, with PBs, it's a tough one, especially with running. It's kind of like when I was younger doing it as a kid, every race would be a PB. And now, I was going to say now I'm an old man at 28, which kind of is wrong. But I've had my injury, and I've had knee surgery, and I'm now coming back from that. I'm constantly comparing myself to my previous self. But I've always got to try and go, when I'm managing my goals, I've just got to be, we talk about SMART goals, so being specific. I have to be specific to that point in time. I have to be specific to my surroundings, so specific to where I am. So I now operate off of season best. I operate off of feeling, because at the same time, sometimes I go and have a run and I go, my God, I'm so fast. I'm so good. And then, and then I look at my watch at the end of it and I go, no, I'm not. But at the same time, I'm really happy in myself in the way that I felt during that run and how that run made me feel. So I start to go off of a different sort of metric to just time. And yeah, it's where you have to kind of recalibrate. It's it's not a linear journey. It's an up and down journey, and it's a constant recalibration. I mean, I think the last time I'd probably say I had it properly, going off of trying to go off metrics, was when I had my rehab for my knee surgery. Of course, if we were rehabbing anything, we'd go, well, it's not a straight line, so you shouldn't beat yourself up. But my targets for my physio were constantly changing, and that's fine. And I think if we can kind of, as PTs, translate that into that's kind of like our key point, is translating how our journey is up and down. Things will get in the way, but all we can do is the best we can in that scenario. That's how I would probably advise you.
So,
You will do.
Oh yeah, I mean we have to. We have to follow your advice. But so we've kind of sort of spoken about the theme of leadership throughout. So for you, if it was that leadership was truly redefined in the fitness industry, what would that be?
I think, because I do focus a lot on showing leadership on social media, obviously, and so much of it is kind of, again, I was saying earlier, very trends related, on people wanting to show what's popular at that time, which is why we go through such up and downs with what people are saying versus what people are not saying. And it is very outcome based, because that's the easiest way to show things online, is people showing before and afters. But everyone on fitness has such, like, no matter who you ask in the fitness industry, they are going to tell you their different leadership beliefs. The same way that everyone will have different leadership styles in how they run a team, people will have different leadership in how they approach fitness. So I think it's showing that it needs to try and go less based on trends and more on your personal values, and go, what do you as a person believe is the best way to lead people within fitness and show their benefits? And for some people that will be aesthetics, and it's fine, but that's not our thing. So I think that you as a leader can focus on your values, more on your internal thinking, and more about consistency rather than just showing the long-term outcomes. Whereas that isn't necessarily, I think, the best way to lead, because I think that's a way to lead that some people who are very motivated already will stick onto and will follow that. But I don't think that's a very mass orientated approach to leading a group. I think you need to, if anything, focus from who is, the way to word it, but who is the hardest person you think to get them on a journey, and go, how can we focus on targeting that person, because the people who already are motivated will follow along at their own accord. So that's a way to make sure it's as inclusive as physically possible, is going, what can we do that we think the person who has never even thought about going in the gym will go, oh, maybe this is a really good idea. And whether that's everyone they know around them is going with them and can help learn and go that way. I think focus on leading those people rather than leading the people who already do it.
I'm just going to say, I love when you said not following the trend, but following values. It makes such a big difference.
It's the way I feel that you keep going. Because I think if you don't have the internal belief and understanding of what it will bring, it is hard to stay motivated in it. It's hard to stay motivated in a lot of things because of how life changes throughout time, and having that true understanding of why you're doing something makes it so much easier in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You need to be passionate about it, don't you? And passion comes from it meeting your values. So yeah, that makes so much sense. What about you, Patrick?
Which is interesting, because Patrick has had a 3-hour conversation about this, right?
I was going to say that. I was going to get you to talk about that.
Really? As a little pre-discussion to the pod, and in my preparation for it, I have 2 clients that I see every Tuesday, and they have had distinguished, if they are listening, that'll make them laugh, but distinguished leadership careers. And through, I think the first time I was put into a position of decent leadership where you kind of look and go, oh my God, I'm in charge of this, am I? Was about 22, and I've got a lot of support from them in how we discuss it, and so and how we approach leadership, how I approach being a manager. And when I've had bad days, they've been really good at supporting me on, had those days. If I've had a good day, they're very good to say that, yes, it's a good day, enjoy that day. But I do a PT session, and then we follow up with dinner. We have dinner together. And that was kind of a thing starting post-COVID, dinner together. And I said, you will not believe what I'm doing Thursday night. I said, I'm doing a podcast on leadership, and I was really struggling to identify what value I could bring to the pod. And so I went through all the questions and that he sent me, and we were sat there for 4 to 5 hours, kind of going through leadership on like a national, international scale, to like into businesses, into how you respond emotionally, how you respond, kind of having like a philosophical view to leadership. And after 5 hours of talking, and you could probably say, I'll be nice with my estimate and say I had about 50 years of experience. In saying, they said, we haven't been much help to you, actually. We haven't really defined leadership. To which I went, you know what, actually, I was sat there going, I've probably got, 6 to 8 years of leadership thinking, how can I define leadership, and being really lost with it. And in reality, you can't define, even after 50 years and a full career's worth of leadership, you still can't define it. So that actually made me feel really good to come here being like, actually, yes, it is tough to define and it is all individualistic to you. I was going to say, why bother trying to define it? But it is, no matter what stage you're on, it is a tough thing to define. So just make it your own, really.
I think part of redefining it and part of everything that we're talking about in these podcast episodes is exactly that. It's saying that you don't need to have a one archetype of leadership that you have to follow. Yeah, it's that's really interesting. And actually, if they're listening, we'd love to hear from you as well.
Oh dear. Looks like I've got a second guest appearance.
Oh gosh.
Which very nicely brings us to metaphors, because we've already spoken about that, and we just want to hear, according to you, do you have metaphors on what it is to be a leader, what leadership looks like for you, both Karis and Patrick?
I've got quite a weird one that might sound weird to start it, but I always think of it in a weird way, is you as the leader have like created a like music playlist. This is how because I was making one for Ace quite recently. So you're in charge of the title, what kind of music you'll want to be, but then you're adding so many different songs into it that people are going to either only pick out their favorites or listen to in different orders, or like skip through some, but they're still part of the same group and are still, even at different stages, like working through it and listening to it at their own pace. So it's kind of, I always find leadership as creating an environment where people enjoy themselves and want to be there and want to participate, but you're not forcing everyone to follow directly at the same time in the same pattern. It's like you go about it however you want, but you're still ending up at the same aim because they've still all listened to the same music.
Oh, I love that. That is so beautiful.
Well,
Patrick doesn't have one, he's not sure.
no, that's decent enough kind of metaphor, actually. I was kind of going along the plane that there should be some kind of segregation in leadership and management, and very much that they are very two separate things. Like, leadership is the influence of kind of your heart, whereas management is kind of the influence of the mind. So you're trying to influence the way people think, whereas really a leader to me is how they've made me feel and how they've inspired me. That is what's made them a leader. Not much of a metaphor, but yeah, if I was to say anything with leadership, leadership would be something of the heart, whereas management is something of the mind, and how we influence people based off of that, making that segregation.
Oh, that's nice as well. I really love that. Oh, you two have brought some really nice images there. It's better than my plant.
Karis is funner.
Oh, that's lovely. So I suppose we'll finish up with thinking about what would you tell the listeners about when they can, or if they're considering leadership in the industry, and then also just letting everyone know where they can find you and anything that you've got coming up. But we'll come back to that. So yeah, what would you tell the listeners who are considering leadership in the fitness industry?
I would go, from my point of view, is I felt very like I hadn't had any work experience prior to coming to ACE, and then came in and straight away was given events to lead, which I really benefit from. But I think if you're interested in leadership, don't wait until you feel like you're in a position where you've got the knowledge and the experience to lead. A lot of what I found is I've grown a lot in my leadership throughout the year through the actions we've done and the events we've held and kind of learning at the time. So I thought, don't kind of waste time hoping that one day it will click and you'll know exactly what it's going to be. You don't, like, you can change and grow over time. So just saying, learn through what you're doing and making sure to keep communications and keep growing on the job is kind of how I would look at it.
That's amazing. And that, do you know what, that aligns so nicely with everything that we've said in our previous episodes around, you learn as you go. It's about putting yourself in the right places and not waiting for that perfect blueprint as per the last episode. So lovely, thank you. And what about you, Patrick?
Go for it from the point of view of it being a privilege, in that I've throughout my career I've never come across a bad person doing what I do, and it's where I've had days of being tired and gone, I could quite easily leave this industry. I've always been brought back to the fact that the people that I've met, the friends, everyone that I've worked with, members, and that it is a kind of a privilege to be in the industry, but it's such an accessible industry. It really is good fun. You'd never really know what's truly around the corner. It'll bring so many fresh things that you really didn't think was part of the fitness industry, but you kind of go back to your baseline, which is the people in the industry are fantastic people to be around, and really from there you'll just really enjoy it, no matter how fast paced that industry gets.
Amazing, thank you.
Which is more positive than I thought it would be, so I'm quite proud of myself there.
That was really positive. That was really nice. It makes me want to work in it now. Oh, amazing. So where can we find you, and what have you got coming up that people can look forward to and possibly actually attend if they're in the area?
Karis, head of marketing.
This is my realm. So we have got all of our up-to-date information on events is on our website, which is www.acecorporatefitness.co.uk. Our current events coming up is our Run Club. We are starting from March until May, and then potentially further on in the East Sussex, Helsham, Polegate and broader areas that will be weekly on Sundays. That is actually being announced on the 13th of Feb. So it should hopefully already be up, which you can then sign up to on the website. That is free for everybody. We have also got a company football tournament that's about to be announced for coming up in June. So if you are either an individual and want to join a team and play a five-a-side football, you are more than welcome to get in contact. Or if you want to, for your business, come contact us with the team and we're more than happy to put you in. And then for more smaller updates and what we're doing, and we're hearing more about us and our values on all social media platforms, we are just Ace Corporate Fitness, and you can find more about us there.
Lovely. So thank you so much. I'll wrap up there, and just to say thank you again to the listeners for coming along with us today, and we look forward to speaking with you next time.
Bye, redefiners.
Bye, redefiners.